So boom, you ever just been high scrolling, reading random facts, and then you suddenly find out the Queen of England used to get zooted? What? Imagine pulling up to Buckingham Palace and the Queen says herself, "Don't forget my Zaza, darlings." Yep, today on High History, we're taking it across the pond and across centuries to explore the life of Queen Victoria, one of the most iconic rulers in world history, who just so happened to use cannabis on the royal low. You know what I'm saying? We're breaking down who she was, how she rose to power, what was going on with weed during her reign, and why the royal physicians was prescribing her that green stuff for more than just a vibe. So let's light up and get royal, because this one is gonna surprise you. Roll the clip.
I'm the type of nigga that gets sassy on the bitch. VVS, clarity, stone, prezi on the bitch. And I'm feeling like the hand of God bless me in this bitch. Put respect up on my name, ho, I'm heavy in this bitch. I just want 7 Grammys.
So Queen Victoria wasn't just any queen. She was the queen, like the longest reigning monarch in British history until Queen Elizabeth came around. She ruled from 1837 to 1901, a time that we now call the Victorian Era. And her face was on everything. Coins, stamps, portraits. She had the kind of fame that would have broken the internet if it existed back then. She became a symbol of dignity, morality, and British imperial power. But behind the fancy dresses and royal portraits, Victoria was also a human being, full of emotions, pain, grief, love, and plot twists, chronic discomfort. She dealt with intense menstrual cramps, mood swings, anxiety, insomnia, and grief after the death of her husband, Prince Albert. So when doctors pulled out the cannabis and was like, "Your Majesty, this may help," she wasn't like, maybe. She was like, bet. So Victoria's road to royalty wasn't exactly chill. She wasn't supposed to be queen at first. She was 5th in line, but death had other plans. Her father died when she was a baby. Then one by one, her uncles either died or didn't have legitimate heirs. And just like that, little Victoria became Queen Victoria. So at age 18, she took the throne and never looked back. And she wasn't just sitting on the throne looking cute. She was running 1/4 of Earth's whole population. The British Empire during her reign stretched across Africa, India, Canada, Australia, and parts of the Caribbean. Colonization, exploitation, power grabs. It was a lot. But even while she was ruling all that, she was dealing with some deeply personal pain. She suffered through multiple pregnancies, extreme PMS, and later in life, arthritis. And back then, ibuprofen didn't exist. Oh, but cannabis? That was on the table. So what was weed on Queen Victoria's time? Well, first off, they weren't calling it weed. They called it cannabis, Indian hemp, or extract of cannabis indica. During the mid-1800s, cannabis was fully legal in the UK and commonly used in medicine. It was imported mainly from India, which was part of the British Empire, and was used to treat pain, insomnia, muscle spasms, epilepsy, and even depression. The plug? A man named Dr. William Brooke O'Shaughnessy. I don't know. Why do y'all be having these weird last names and stuff, bro? What happened to Jones? The hell, like William. Well, his first name William, so I guess his last name can't be William. But what the fuck? O'Shaughnessy. What the hell is that? Anyway, he was an Irish doctor working in India. In 1839, he published research introducing cannabis to Western medicine. Dude was like, "Hey yo, this plant right here, fire." He brought it back to England, and suddenly, cannabis extracts were showing up in pharmacies and royal prescriptions. So how did Queen Victoria actually consume cannabis? Well, she wasn't out here with a pre-roll and a grinder. Her royal physician, Sir J. Russell Reynolds, prescribed her cannabis tinctures, basically a cannabis extract mixed with alcohol that she could drink or put under her tongue. So Sir Reynolds was no joke. In 1890, he published an article in a major medical journal saying, "Indian hemp, when pure and admired carefully, is one of the most valuable medicines we possess. Victoria reportedly used tinctures regularly, especially after the death of her husband. She was emotionally wrecked and dealing with chronic health issues. So yeah, the queen was sipping that good. Yup. So cannabis worked for Queen Victoria because, let's be real, it's medicine. She wasn't trying to get high for fun. Well, I don't know. We don't know. We don't think so. She wasn't trying to get high for fun. She was managing pain. It helped her relax, sleep, and cope with emotional trauma. And while it's dope that she had access to medical weed in the 1800s, y'all know it's a dark side to it. So let's talk about colonism. A lot of the cannabis that was used in England came from India, where it had been used spiritually and culturally for decades, centuries. But under British rule, the same people who introduced cannabis to England started criminalizing it in India, viewing local use as uncivilized, while repacking it for white British elites. Also, in the late 1800s, cannabis use among the working class and the poor became demonized. Medical cannabis for the queen, cool. But if you were a working class or non-white, you were seen as abusing it. We're seeing early echoes of the same double standard that will show up later in the US, where cannabis is cool in medicine, but criminal in communities of color. Queen Victoria's use of cannabis wasn't shouted from the rooftops, but it did quietly change everything. Thanks to her physician's public writings and her unofficial royal approval, cannabis became widely accepted in 19th century British medicine. It stayed in British and American pharmacies until the early 1900s, when the fear campaign started coming in thanks to Harry Ashlinger. Y'all know I talked about him last time. If you ain't see that video, make sure you go check it out. It's right here. But Victoria's usage helped legitimize cannabis as a medicine during a time when people were still afraid of anything natural. She was, in a weird way, low-key, a cannabis influencer without an Instagram. So what do we take from this? That Queen Victoria, the symbol of imperial power, used cannabis to ease her pain, not just once, not just a maybe, but consistently, and the plant that helped her rule the empire with less suffering, that same plant will later be banned and criminalized across the world, from divine healer to forbidden flower. Cannabis has had a journey, but here on High History, we bringing it all back, one story at a time. Drop a comment if you think Queen Victoria would have had a favorite strain. I think her favorite strain would have been it wouldn't have been nothing that would probably been, not Cali Kush, but I don't know, Buckingham Palace Kush. Can you give me some of that BBPC? Wait, that's Big Back Clock, ain't it? Buckingham Palace, BBP Kush, K? I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. I didn't like the way that sounded. At all. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that one out. But drop a comment if you think she would have had a favorite strain. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more stories about real people getting real high back in the day. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about Reefer Madness, the film and propaganda that made your mom think that you were going to smoke a joint and murder your brother in the middle of the night. I'm not lying to you. That's what they made these people think. Reefer Madness. That's what we talking about. Until then, you know what to do. Make sure you smoke the gas. Hold on, I gotta light it, wait a minute. And pass the gas. Dope Soul out.